Well, without Tyler Kolek, as Shaka Smart might say, Marquette is just not Marquette. But they battled hard in losses at Creighton and at home on Wednesday night to UConn. There's a lot to be enthused about, particularly if you can get the straw that stirs the drink back in Tyler Kolek from that oblique injury. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the MarquetteHoops.com basketball show with a historian, John Dodds, and our marvelous producer, Jason Ruck. I'm Tom Pippins. As always, we are brought to you by Moonlight Graham, Modern Dental Benefits. Moonlight Graham, a proud sponsor of this program, and our MVP is Craig Caston, and we have lots of gratitude for him. JD, always good to have the voice of Marquette basketball on the radio side, Steve the Homer True, with us.
Homer's been doing that since 1989, and he's done it with George Thompson, with Jim McElvain and Tony Smith, and he's our national treasure.
After Wednesday night's UConn win over Marquette at Fiserv Forum, Huskies coach Dan Hurley said that for Marquette not to have Tyler Kolek is like the Chiefs not having Pat Mahomes. Homer, I think he hit it right on the head.
He did, and I don't know if he's Dan or Danny Hurley. Which is he now?
He used to be Danny. Now that he's older, I guess we can call him Dan.
I don't know. Now they won the national title. He's very kind to Marquette. And in general, he seems like a really tough guy, but he seems to like everything about Marquette or wants to say great things about him. He's been very kind, but yeah. But Marquette did have Tyler Kolek when they played UConn earlier this year and lost by 1 million.
Right.
So the nature of the game,
the way they did, there's no stopping them, right?
Right. No, given the way that UConn shot, but Marquette, for not having Tyler Kolek, played really well and had a legitimate chance if UConn doesn't shoot so well from threes. I mean, they 13 of 26. UConn shoots 13 of 26 threes. Nobody's going to ever beat them.
Mm-hmm. 100% agreed. But the assist number, as you know, down. They're out-rebounded by a bunch. And without Kolek, of course, especially in terms of dishing the ball, Oso isn't as effective as he is. John Dodds, want to bring you in and fire away for Homer, the voice of Marquette basketball.
They're better this year. It seems like they hit three-point shots. And Klingon, last year was funny. The fans, we never knew who Klingon was. Klingon comes in for the first part of the game for Sonogo, and he has 20 points and 10 rebounds. And every time Hurley put Sonogo back in, the fans would cheer. It's like, thanks. Take that guy out of here. Klingon is amazing.
No, the problem with UConn, it's just a tough matchup for Marquette because of rebounding. UConn is so big. I mean, the second chance points were like 20 to, 19 to 4, and it was 19 nothing. And on the other hand, Marquette's able to get UConn to turn the ball over. So points off of turnovers end up being huge in Marquette fashion. There's a way Marquette can win because they're able to create turnovers and when UConn's behind, they still take forever to score, which works great because then they don't have as many possessions. Stevie Mitchell had the most offensive rebounds of any player on either team. It's just that part of it's a bad matchup for Marquette and will make it really tough. I agree with Dodsey. I think this team is better than last year's UConn team because of Spencer. Rutgers has to be going crazy. He's their Tyler Kolek. Look at his numbers in the game.
Cam Spencer.
Almost exactly. He came close to a triple-double, and he gives them, as we saw, a toughness, and he likes to fight with the fans and everybody. But it makes them, to me, a much more well-rounded team. They didn't have, because Newton's kind of a point guard, but kind of not. Now, I'm curious to see what happens in the NCAA tournament, because last year I don't think they won every game by 10, right? I'm not sure they'll be as dominant, but they're good. And unfortunately, with the loss, people don't appreciate it. But Marquette played a heck of a game with the chance they had to be that close late.
Homer, this is just a very average team without Tyler Kolek. There's no way around it if they don't.
Well, no. Wait a minute. No, I'm not going to let you say that. They've proven they're not. They played UConn, 20 points closer without Kolek. What they've shown us is they're still a good team. Now, the problem is this. You got to figure out how to win. The Xavier game is huge because it's at Xavier, but Xavier's kind of a mess now. They should win that game. I've been impressed with how good Marquette has played without Kolek, and Dad's alluded to it a little bit. You've had both Norman and Lowry show some things that would make the team even better when you have Kolek back in terms of the depth of the shots they can make. But they've played, I mean, without Kolek, the first game, I said the Titanic did better. It was like 81-53, and it wasn't that close. Now, granted, it was at home, but this team has shown a lot without Kolek, but they have to figure out how to win, and that's why Xavier will be good. But look at this game. UConn was 13 of 26 three-point shooting. In terms of second chance points, it was 19-4, and it was a 5 or 7 point game at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been impressed with how
5.
well Marquette has played, but they got to prove it with a win.
All right, you're gonna move the needle a little bit with me, but I still think without Kolek, they can't advance in the NC2A tournament. And so we just have to
now
hope.
that I'll agree with. Yes, there's a huge
well, the offense is so helter-skelter, as you're aware. He just makes everything go. Oso is, although he had 16 and 8 on Wednesday night, he's not himself without that. You don't have the tandem, all the assists at the end. Homer, you know this, and Dodsey as well as anyone. But all right, I'm gonna take what you said into account. They really
I agree with
hard
that
on Wednesday night. What do you think, John? Where to from here? Obviously, the Xavier game on Saturday, the season ender, and then you go to the Big East tournament. I think Marquette is scheduled to play on Wednesday, correct? After a first-round bye?
So what I want to do is take a focus back to the Creighton game, which, if I'm a Marquette fan, you couldn't be more proud of the coaching effort and the playing effort. Now, Ben Gold couldn't hit a three. He could hit threes against UConn. He couldn't hit a three against Creighton. But he made 2 drives, and that drive at the end of the half where he took on Clockbrenner, Homer, what did you think of that thing?
That's the best move all year. That's the best move he's ever had. They cleared out for Ben Gold off the dribble to take on the 2-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year. And we hadn't seen him really dribble. I mean, he pulled an Oso, but he played it perfectly, and he just flat out beat him. But you're right. To think that that's the play that you're going to set up, and it worked.
But in terms of point guard, Cam Jones can play point guard. He just isn't a natural point guard, and he hasn't been needed at a point guard. But he's a guy that doesn't pass first. He drives, tries to score, draws the D, then makes the pass. It's a totally different blend of talent.
Well, Kolek just
I'd agree, but I think he's getting better at it, and I see him now practicing kind of the Kolek whip fast cross court pass. But yes, I think that's one of the pluses. But so Marquette's this group has to figure out a way to win, and if they do, then as you said, Pip, that's going to provide Shaka with more when Kolek comes back, and as terms of options he has to score, defend, and just play as a better, deeper team.
Mm-hmm. How special was it? You were there, of course, with Tony Smith on the sidelines on Wednesday evening to the senior night. TV doesn't really give you the essence, and they joined late for the second game, et cetera. But what was it like for you to be right there with these 2 tremendous young men and obviously staples of the program?
I always think with players, there are a few where you feel lucky to have been around to watch them play. And they certainly both fit that. Now, at the risk of irritating Marquette people, I'm saddened that they changed the way you used to have everybody talk after the game on Senior Day. I still remember Jameel Lott, I think it was. I think he is still speaking right now. He has never ended. And in fact, at the banquet, one of the assistant coaches, his line was, "Has Jamil stopped?" My point is, there was something special about learning about them, and it was their time to say. And I miss that. And so it was a great event and everybody cheers, but that was so good and so special. And I think even more now, I'll defer to the historian Doddsy. I'm not sure that anybody does that anymore.
I'm encouraged that Shaka Smart feels that Tyler Kolek, it's not his oblique, but he feels he'll get the straw that stirs the drink back, whether it be in the Big East tournament or certainly for the big dance. What do you think,
Yeah,
Homer?
he's
so
going to
hard
play.
say.
I don't know
You
when,
think so?
but
Yeah.
he's going to play and try to play. I don't know how much practice time you need before. I could see in the toughest situation, you get him out practicing a little bit before the NCAA tournament. Maybe you play him a little bit in the first game if you feel they're good enough to win, depending on where they're seated. And then he's up to maybe 30 minutes in the second game. He may play before that, but that would seem to me the scenario if it takes him the longest to recover, because I don't have any idea, and nobody else seems to know, even those people that understand obliques. I think the comparison to Travis Diener is appropriate in a number of ways, and that's because Travis Diener's career ended kind of the same way.
Dominic James kind of, and it's just a shame when that happens when people get hurt like that. Oblique, the first time I ever heard the term oblique, I was at the Brewer game when George Bamberger came back after his heart surgery, and Paul Molitor gets up, first batter, he swings and he misses, and his left side went down on his rib cage, and he puts the bat down at the plate and walks right out, and he wasn't available for 2 months. And and then Ryan Braun had serious oblique issues, and that's one of the reasons I've heard over the years that why did he take extra things to help those things heal by the playoffs, because he had to be there for the team, and those rib cage muscles are really finicky. And I think Ben Sheets hurt one, and he was out for probably about 3 months, but he was a pitcher, so it was a little bit different.
Homer, as you look at Shaka Smart, I just have so much respect from a distance. You know him well. You two have a fabulous relationship, as you have with everyone in the program. It's adversity, but he seems to bring out the best. There's so much positivity there. My respect for him has grown because he's coaching with adversity right now.
Yeah, I said last year if I was president, I'd just give him a contract for life. You just coach whenever you want. Now, if at some point you want to leave, and because it's never going to be, well, he's going to want more money. He's driven by two things: to help young men and to win. And there's nobody that's wanted to win more than him. And so he has an incredible confidence and sells to the players, look, this is how good you are. This is how good you can be. So when an opportunity like this arises, he doesn't flinch at all. He thinks the group he has is good enough to win even without Kolek. And it's not made up, and it sells well to the players because he's been telling them all year, you can do this. You can do this. So it's not as if a coach is trying to tell people there's something that they haven't heard from him all year. So but that's why to me, you got to win. All these players are doing good things, but you got to figure out either score a little bit more, defend a little bit better, or certainly Xavier's not going to be as good. But yeah, this is a time that it's probably as easy for Shaka as it is any coach because of the foundation of which he sets for the players when Kolek is there or every day.
What's amazing
is 12 or 13 with 7 minutes to go on Wednesday night against UConn, and yet they never stopped believing. They kept playing hard,
right,
and they had a chance, right, down 5, and then unfortunately David Joplin was dribbling, and good things normally don't happen when he does that, although I think he's done a fabulous job and has become such a big part of the squad. But yeah, I'm encouraged, John. The more I think about it and what both of you have shared, there's a reason to be positive if they can, as you point out, figure it out. I don't know what the answer is, how that comes, other than playing hard and believing and people stepping up.
This has been the toughest schedule I can ever remember a Marquette team play. They played number 1 twice, Kansas and UConn. They played number 2 twice, Purdue and UConn. This week they played them. But they've remained in the top 10 virtually the entire year. They haven't fallen out of the top 10. They've beaten Illinois. It's just been a gauntlet, and they haven't backed down to anyone. And I wanted to ask you, Homer, just as NCAA pairings and brackets come out, UConn versus Purdue. What's your take? You saw both of them up close.
UConn's the best team in the country. They're just really good. Purdue is good as well, but they have those games where they don't shoot well, and I'm it'll be almost impossible for UConn to do as well as they did last year by winning. Didn't they win every game in the tournament by double digits, by at least 10 points?
You're right.
But I think UConn's the best team, and so if they played, I would expect UConn would win.
Huskies are so good. It seems as if now, John, he's gotten to a point, Hurley has, that it's almost like they're reloading. You know, they just continue to add on.
Well, Spencer is everything. Spencer
man.
is everything. I don't know. You know, he played at Rutgers. He changes everything about that team. I mean, he's their Kolick, and you know, the only thing you can do, which Marquette tried to do, is you have to bother him defensively. Anybody who's being guarded by Spencer, everybody else can sit down because you're trying to wear him out and maybe get him in foul trouble. But he gives them a balance that they didn't have before. And I don't know what you do to beat them. Like Creighton just made incredible shots, and you just play a good game, and they don't play as well. But they have every area covered. This kid.
17
what was
points.
Look at the numbers.
Yeah, for Spencer,
last night, 17
8
points,
rebounds,
8
6
rebounds,
assists,
6
5
assists, and
7
3
trades.
steals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he hit his first 5. I mean, the reason you believe that Marquette could beat UConn, he can't play that well again. He just can't. He's not that good.
Well, a year ago, Danny Hurley reminded me a little bit of Joe Cocker, kind of on the sidelines where he would be kind of out of control. He just didn't know what he was going to do. And then after Marquette beat UConn in New York City, I don't know if the athletic director or somebody got a hold of him, and they even said this during the NCAA tournament. After the Marquette game, they told me to settle down because if I settle down, the players respond better. And boy, did they respond. I mean, they beat everybody by, as you said, double digits. And I think it was the biggest. I think that team last year in UCLA in one of the Alcindor years beat everybody by 15 to 22 points in the NCAA every game. And so that was a special team. And he seems much more composed on the sidelines. Pip, as you said, yep, he had top recruit. He brought a 5-star recruit in to replace Jackson and Hawkins and Klingon. That guy is big time. Klingon is the only problem they've had this year is when Klingon had that foot issue for about 2 weeks. Other than that, they've been the best team.
There's a huge drop off at his position. The other guy who has helped him is Diarra, who he got from Buzz at Texas A&M. He's a huge part of their offense because there'll be times like he got a lot of playing time. Castle was in foul trouble. Castle didn't do much of anything. They're outstanding freshmen, but it didn't matter because, again, this kid Diarra.
I want to get back to Stevie Mitchell. I mean, this guy is just relentless. What a joy it is. I mean, he should not, Homer, be able to do the stuff that he does at his size. He might be 6'3", looks smaller among the giants. He finds a way to make plays on both sides of the court. What a treat it is to watch this young man.
Yeah, now he's scoring more. Yeah. He was the leading. He had 9 rebounds against UConn. 5 are offensive rebounds. Yeah, and I want them to play Creighton again. I've never said anything to Shaka Smart, and I probably won't. But I want Stevie Mitchell to guard Shireman the entire game. I don't want any switches. I don't want anything because I think he can shut him down. And they're a different team. They go to him. He's the soul. And yes, I'm real curious to see Stevie Mitchell and if he can play in the NBA because I think defensively he's good enough, and that's the number one thing. But yeah, there's nothing he can say. Like, he cannot be playing in a game and be watching the game and he'll deflect a pass. I don't know. He's any pass in the offensive half, he can deflect it.
Dazzy, he seems less impacted by the loss of Tyler Kolek. It seems as if his game can be his game to a great extent, at least, even without Tyler.
Yeah, I said he reminds me of Charles Woodson. He gets out there and he's guarding people and he's physical. And last night, Homer and I were talking about this just before the show, that Matt LaFleur and Matt Eberflus there was a good picture last night taken together at the game. And we put that picture up at our site, and I said, please write a caption for it. And my caption was Matt Eberflus saying to LaFleur, you know, that Stevie Mitchell gives you everything that Jair Alexander does with less baggage. So that was my comment, or without the drama kind of a thing. So yeah, Stevie Mitchell, if he can't play basketball, and I've also heard that as soon as I've heard from people that have known him off the court and people who've worked with him saying that he's going to be the head of some multinational corporation sometime in the next 5 years. He should just forget about basketball because he's that smart and that capable.
No, I made reference to the fact the smartest Marquette player ever was Bart Miller, because after Marquette he went to grad school at MIT, and right. I said no Division I player's ever done that, and somebody found one others, and somebody said Stevie Mitchell can go to MIT today, tomorrow, next week, anytime he wants, and I went, really? Yeah. When they make his jerseys, I'm already working on. I want a Mitchell, not 4, but a Mitchell 4.0. I want the 4.0 on there. I don't know whose approval you have to get for that. Yeah. Now, whatever you would say he would do, I'm not going to argue with you. But I think I want to see him. I think he can play in the NBA.
Mm-hmm. It'd be exciting. It'd be real exciting. Will Kolek play in the NBA? And you hear the announcers, they'll both. He and Oso have long careers in the NBA. Do you buy that?
Yeah, I think he'll play in the NBA. It depends. Again, the number one rule to me in the NBA is, can you guard? And I don't know how well he guards, because it's like with Tony Smith when he played. I just watch his offense so much. But the determining factor, the guys who've made it from Marquette and made it the most can guard. And then if you can score like Jimmy Butler or Dwayne Wade, then you make $150 million or whatever it is. But you got to be able to defend. And so that's the only question there could be about Tyler Kolek.
Mm-hmm. Maybe unless, John, you can shoot it like Steve Novak, huh?
That's right.
Yes,
that's correct.
Yeah, yeah.
I was at a Marquette event. About, I don't know, must have been 20 some odd years ago. And Father Duilio, the president of the university, came up to me, maybe it was 25 years ago, came up to me and said, of Bart Miller, we have this guy that got 100% on the math section of the ACT. John, what do you think of that? And I said, to be perfectly honest? And he goes, yeah, be honest, John. What do you think of that? And I said, well, I'd rather have a combo guard with a 2.4 average with a 40-inch vertical jump. And he looked at me, he walked away, and I don't think he talked to me the rest of his tenure. Well, he tried to be honest.
Their seed
No,
would be
they
very
asked me,
high
and I said, when I first
academically.
heard, I go, so much for him being great.
Yeah.
What do you, how can you say that? Tell me the last one.
Yeah. So we know that the
right.
Marquette team is smart, both on the court and off. As we speak, many people, Homer, have Marquette, as you're well aware, a 2 seed. No Tyler Kolek, couple of losses, although they, in both those games, playing very hard. What do you think? Will they drop down to 3? Could they drop even below, depending on the Big East? Do they need to win a game or 2 to maintain 2, or is 2 not realistic at this time?
I don't look at it that closely. I mean, 2, 3. I certainly think they could drop down. It depends if he plays and if they win. And, if Tyler Kolek doesn't play before the NCAA tournament, they've got to drop him down some. But my guess is, there'll be a 3. But yeah, I mean, they factor in teams, but I think there's a belief that Tyler Kolek will be able to play. So I don't think the drop off would be huge, and they've played well enough. So I'll go with the 3, but it's not an area that I spend a whole lot of time. The higher you are, the better, because the seeding. This is a crazy year. You've had all these upsets of ranked teams, and this could easily be a year where you have more upsets or 14 to be it's just hard to know. They'll use the phrase that it's matchups, but I just think the range from the very top to maybe even number 50 is just smaller than it's ever been. Or the numbers say that.
He is the GOAT of Milwaukee sports radio, John Dodds, isn't he? The great Steve the Homer True, voice of the Golden Eagles with Tony Smith, and hopefully there will be a deep run for this team despite the adversity. Maybe if, again, Kolek's got to come back. We know that. If he can
Dodsy, what do you say?
Close to what he thinks.
You guys, what number do you have? What seed do you have in the NCAA?
You know, I never pay attention to the seeds. I know they grade on that S curve, the NCAA, and they when they're putting it down. But for me, it's more of a matchup issue because it doesn't matter what your rating is or what your seed is. If you play a hot Michigan State team whose three guards are playing unbelievably, if you go up against Murray State, where the fatal flaw of your team is guarding quickness, and you play Murray State, and then if you win that one, you're in Florida State bracket. You're thinking, how did that happen? And even when we played South Carolina the last time, we got boat raced that first game, and they go all the way to the Final Four. And so you got to be lucky in this and getting matchups that work. So if they're a 4, it doesn't bother me if the matchups look better.
The former Badgers coach Barry Alvarez used to say it's all about the matchups. That's why in Rose Bowl, Homer, you'll recall, John, you the same. Well, how are you going to beat UCLA? He felt very confident because we match up well. Great points, guys. This has been an absolute delight. Homer, thank you for joining us, and hopefully you win at Xavier, see what happens in the Big East, and then March Madness, baby. We're pulling for a deep run, huh?
It's been a great season, so dramatically different from last year with no injuries. And this year's been exactly the opposite, trying to figure it out with all these injuries and now the toughest one.
Thanks for coming on the show. Look forward to seeing you real soon.
Thanks, home team.
My pleasure.
Thanks for joining us again, everybody, on the MarquetteHoops.com basketball show. Our marvelous producer is Jason Ruck. John Dodds is our historian, and I'm Tom Pippins. JD, you have a fabulous website to promote.
Sure. It's MarquetteHoops.com. It's part of the CBS Digital Sports Network, and we archive all the shows. If you have some friends and fans of Marquette basketball, please, out of the area that can't watch Channel 24, please send them a link, and they can watch all the archive shows.
And we'd be talking to ourselves if not for our great sponsor, Moonlight Graham, proud sponsor of the program, Moonlight Graham, Modern Dental Benefits. Thank you, Craig Caston. Thank you, everybody. God bless you, and go Golden Eagles.